Hi everybody, my name's Laura Jobson and I'm a clinical psychologist and a senior lecturer at the Turner Institute for Brain and Mental Health based at Monash University. I'm going to give you an overview of some of the research that we focus on. Our research predominantly focuses on how people respond following trauma and how culture influences on this. So at the moment, researchers have a really good understanding of why some people following trauma adapt and they recover and they adjust to the situation and go back to normal living, while a significant proportion of people don't do as well. And this group of people can go on to develop what's known as post-traumatic stress disorder. And these people often need to receive some sort of treatment or intervention in the future. So while researchers have a really good understanding of why some people develop PTSD and what sort of treatment approaches should be offered to those with PTSD, there's a significant limitation associated with this research. And that is that most of this research has been conducted using Western trauma survivors. And therefore it's very much based on sort of Western cultural norms, belief systems, values, expectations, etc. And this is a problem because most trauma survivors actually don't come from Western cultural backgrounds. It's really important in Australia, where we celebrate cultural diversity. It's really important more globally, where actually most people who go through sort of war and conflict and large natural disasters aren't actually from Western cultural backgrounds. So there's a need to expand our understanding to help us understand how those from other cultural groups sort of make sense of trauma, how they remember trauma, how they respond and adjust and recover following trauma. One project we're working on at the moment that we're really excited about, that we've just got funding from a humanitarian agency, is working with Afghan adolescent refugees. So a lot of Afghan adolescent refugees are currently based in Iran. And over the last 5 years, we've been working with psychologists in Iran, looking at how their sort of emotional and social functioning. And what we've found is that there's high levels of distress in this group. Yet a lot of the adolescents don't have access to sort of treatment and help. So what we have been doing and what we plan to do over the next 4 years is working with psychologists in Afghanistan and Iran, trying to develop interventions that can reach a large range of adolescents, that are cheap to deliver, that can be easily rolled out, and that don't need to be delivered by highly skilled psychologists and psychiatrists. So we're working on these interventions and how we can deliver them, and working whether these are effective and whether the refugees like these sort of interventions. And we'll be doing this in Iran, but we'll also be looking at some of the adolescents who have returned to Kabul and other areas in Afghanistan. I think this research is really important. It's important because it's essential that psychology doesn't take just a Eurocentric, a very Western approach to mental health and how people recover and how treatment should be offered. It's very important, as I said, in Australia, because we have such great cultural diversity in this country, and it's really important globally because a lot of people who go through war, through conflict, through natural disasters don't come from Western cultures. So it's really important that our understanding of trauma, our understanding of how to treat trauma, doesn't just come from Western trauma survivors. And it's also really important because there is so much to learn from other cultural groups. How do other cultural groups respond following trauma? How do other cultures treat trauma? And how can this help us more broadly inform our sort of treatments and helping people recover following trauma? When thinking about what some of the unusual sort of aspects that we do for our research, I don't know if it's really unusual, it's more fun and exciting. So often what we want to do with our research is really engage communities. So we work often with migrant communities and sort of refugee communities, and it's essential that they're involved in our research and how we sort of design our research and how we conduct it. And so to get community involvement often involves really fun activities. So this can involve playing soccer and sitting on the side of a soccer field. It can involve being part of cooking classes. I've been part of dance classes. One of my students was a judge on a refugee sort of MasterChef activity. We've been involved in sort of art activities and taking groups to art galleries, and a whole lot of range of fun sort of activities with the aim to engage with community and get community input into our sort of research. So that's a really sort of broad overview of some of the research we do, but it's really important that we sort of expand our trauma approaches so that they're more culturally diverse. Thank you.